Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mings, and today I have a very special Advanced Wars game to show you guys. This is a tournament finale game that took over 1.5 years to complete. So in other words, it's just your average grit match against your little brother. Nah, not really. This is a very special game. This is a matchup that I don't think I've ever covered, in a format that is highly unusual, because we get to see Grit versus Coal in a Fog standard match. Now, Grit is a rarity, even in unorthodox cases. Like, you almost never see Grit. And I remember one of my big surprises entering the Advanced Wars kind of like competitive scene was that I always thought Grit was broken as hell, but in any kind of competitive format, he doesn't tend to be picked a lot because he's just really difficult to play. And arguably one of his worst formats is Fog. He doesn't do Fog well at all because you have to scout out for his artillery. It's an absolute nightmare. I remember noobs. As a noob, I thought that Grit should be better in Fog because he can hide artillery in the woods, but the problem is, so can his opponents. And they can hide a lot of other things in the woods too, which is going to make it hard for Grit to actually shoot. But it's not like playing against Grit is just a cakewalk either. You do need to scout out. You need recons, you need vision. If you let Grit build up, he's still going to reach that death ball, and you're going to have a very, very bad time. But I will say, I like the choice of Coal here for Grit's opponent. Coal is, of course, a movement CL. And if we take a look at the map that they're fighting on, this is a pretty old school map. It's called Dragons in the Dark. I played this match myself quite a few times. It used to be part of the league pool. I don't know if it still is. I don't think I've played this map for a while, but it is a pretty cool map. But as you can see, it's pretty open, aside from, you know, the forest surrounding it. It's pretty open in the center. And it does have a lot of roads, which Cole definitely enjoys. The players are pretty high caliber. We got awbw. You guys should know this this man. He has a YouTube channel, and I do believe he actually has covered this game on his channel. So if you want like a much more in-depth analysis, I'll link that in the video description. You guys can go check it out. I'll also pop a link in the top right corner of my screen. And awbw is an absolute, like, he's insane. He's really, really good. Like, look at that win-loss draw ratio. Like, that's crazy, dude. Like, that is just, this tells a big story. 754 rated, and he plays primarily Fog, I believe. And he's up against Jackleman. Now, Jackleman, don't let the rating difference fool you. Jackleman is a monster. I believe Deegis has casted several of his games on his channel. This is like one of those old monsters that's been around for a very long while, and he is far stronger than his rating would suggest. Again, look at his win-loss record, 45-3. That is pretty crazy. So I believe Jackleman is a much higher rated player than his rating would suggest. So yeah, we got an incredibly cool matchup today, guys. We got two monsters facing each other in a tournament finale. So I'm very excited, guys. I say we get this show on the road. Yeah. So, awbw in the blue trunks. Down in the bottom right, we got Jackleman in the black trunks in the bottom left, I almost say top left. So, this map has some pretty interesting capture moves. You got to go and actually get the neutral bases first. So that's obviously the first thing you want to do. But units produced out of this base, they have a bit of a conundrum. They either have to move very slowly through the forests, or they move back using the road around here. You generally don't want to send your vehicles through the forest. It's mostly for infantry. And you also got these comm towers that are, I wouldn't say they're contested per se, but they can be flipped if you're not careful. You also got comm towers in the center here, so 2 comm towers for each player. I would say that benefits Cole in this situation. Grit already kills with his artillery. He has enough firepower to wipe his opponent off the map. But the less comm towers his opponents have, the easier, or yeah, the easier or the harder it is for them to fight through Grit's walls. Grit doesn't want his infantry to be subject to one-hit KOs during enemy powers and whatnot. So I'd say it's a pretty ballsy pick by a Lagatua, quite honestly. Like, I think you may even call it a bit of a flex pick by a Lagatua. Grit struggles in Fogman, and against the CO like Cole, it's definitely his game to lose. So Lagatua, of course, opens up artillery. You're going to see a lot of these in a Grit match. Artillery is the bread and butter of Grit's forces. He builds artillery the way other tanks builds, or other COs build tanks, and actually even more than that. Grit's army composition is pretty much all artillery, infantry, a few anti-air tacked on, and a couple of vehicles just for good measure. But Grit, generally speaking, he wants to get a lot of artillery out, and of course he does need vision, so recons are going to be important too. But generally speaking, Grit players won't have like a ton of recons, so if you can target fire them, you actually will. You will actually do quite a number on their scouting capabilities. There are also airports on the map. This is something I didn't mention earlier, but airports are bad for Grit. He generally prefers there not being battlecopters around, because then he doesn't have to build anti-air. Now, of course, noobs may think that Grit is likely to produce missiles. No, not very likely. Maybe you'll see a few in high funds, but generally speaking, missiles are too expensive even for Grit, so they're not good as anti-air. You need regular anti-air for that. So, Lagatua moving out with his first artillery here. And he built us a second recon. Again, scouting is going to be key here, so very impressive that he keeps building those recons. So is Jack Leman, though. He's moving out with that recon. Captures commences, and both players pretty much just gearing up. And we see the first tank out of Jack Leman. I think going recon first is definitely the right choice versus Grit here in this situation. You want to see where his artillery are. You want to get as much vision as possible. What you really want to do with this recon is you want to catch if this artillery goes into any woods, right? You want to see, because if you know that the artillery is going into the woods, now you know that it's there. But if you don't see it, you're going to be in trouble. And Lagatua is actually being pretty sneaky here with his first artilleries, moving it into the forest behind the mountain right here. Maybe hoping that Jack Leman goes in for the interrupt. So Lagatua, very sneaky player here, positioning his artillery in a cool way. So, Jack Leman moving in his recon, scouting out, but he's not seeing anything, much of anything yet. He builds a second recon. Now, against Grit, you do want to spam recons. In fact, it's very important to do. You want to spam a lot of recons versus Grit. Probably, I'd say maybe 1/3 of your vehicle count should be recons, because again, you need the vision to see his units, and you also need recons to break infantry. Now, I do believe, and people are still so upset that I don't use the damage calculator hotkey, but whenever I press it, nothing's happening, so I actually don't know. I know you can press C to show it, but it doesn't work on my overlay, so that's why I still do it this way. But I think it is important to check out some of the wall breaking potential that Cole has versus Grit. It's actually very important. So, on roads, if the recon is on roads, and with 2 comm towers, you can see that he still needs a power to one-hit KO infantry. But with the power, he does get it. And on the plains, he actually needs a superpower on roads to one-hit Grit infantry. So, kind of tricky. Cole's firepower bonuses aren't very big. It's one of the reasons he's considered a tier 4 CO. Like, even on roads, he's not that strong. I feel like Cole really needed a bigger firepower boost on roads because they really aren't as common as you think. Like, very few tiles on the map are actually going to be roads, and roads are also really bad because they offer very little defense. They offer no defense, practically, so it is a big nerf for Cole to have to take engagements on roads. So I always felt like Cole was severely underpowered. I don't think they really understood the drawback of being a road-based CO, you know? Alright, so, Jack Leman, of course, moving out pretty aggressively. He's hoping to catch some artillery out in the open. That's his dream. He's scouting. He needs to see where the artillery are. Grit can only really focus on one part of the map at once. There's going to be like one place where he has all of his artillery, and Jack Leman wants to know where are those artillery going to apply pressure. So now he already sees, I think no, I don't think he saw the artillery moving into the woods, because he only scouts up until this little edge right here. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I love the way awbw is like positioning his artillery behind here. It's really cool to watch. And now we also see Jacqueline. He scouts the comm tower. He knows that awbw is capturing it. And Jacqueline also has a battlecopter out, but awbw already has an anti-air ready. Day 8 or day 9 anti-air, usually the best time to build anti-air, depending on the map. awbw went for a day 8 anti-air. He's of course going to expect that Jacqueline will build battlecopters, but Jacqueline also building an anti-air just in case there's some shifty grit battlecopters hanging about. Of course, grit battlecopters, they may not be that scary, but they're still scary if you don't have an anti-air out, so you don't want to neglect building anti-air against grit. Plus, the anti-air serves a dual purpose. It is very good at eliminating anti-air for breaking walls, or sorry, eliminating infantry for breaking walls. So that is one thing. You always want to tack on some anti-air against grit. It's kind of important to do, actually. So awbw out. He's setting up his artillery. He's making them cover each other. But this is kind of scary what he's doing right here. There's a lot of vehicles. Let's see if Jacqueline is able to punish this a little bit, or if he's not going to be able to move in. We'll see. In comes the anti-air. And looks like Jacqueline is not going to rush into the lion's maw. He's gonna wait a little bit. And he builds a rocket. This is a fascinating decision. I was following this game. Or I wasn't following the game, but I was watching this on my own. I remember that I think this game finished like a week ago, and I checked it out, and I realized I really wanted to cast it. This is about as far as I got before I stopped watching, because I wanted to like save I wanted to save like my first impression. But I remember when I saw this rocket, that's when I decided I really wanted to cast this match, because I was like, wow, building a rocket against grit, that is not just a ballsy move. That is a really weird move. And I'm not really sure what Jacqueline was going with this. Maybe awbw can leave a comment on this video if he's watching. Like, what do you think about this move right here? Because I don't think you would expect it as a grit player. But I'm guessing that what he wants to do is he wants to move the rocket maybe on the road or something. And you want to use that rocket to maybe break a vehicle? I'm not sure. And then use that to kind of... But it's a weird position, or it's a weird thing to do, because you're never going to outrange grit, right? I don't know. It's a very strange move by Jacqueline, and I'd love to know more about his thought process on this. It's unorthodox, but we do love seeing that in a tournament match. So, but yeah, awbw pulling back now. These properties, I mean, this property is probably not being captured by awbw. One of the downsides of being grit is that you can't always exert as much map control over the map. You can only exert control in one place at a time. Grit never wants to spread out his artillery, never. So now Jacqueline knows that this is where the death ball is, which means that he can start to poke around on the edges and be a little bit shifty, because artillery are slow. They move as quickly as medium tanks. They are not mobile units. They get heavily slowed down by forests. And I love that awbw is actually adding on a battlecopter right here. It's very nice. Of course, Jacqueline already has an anti-air, but it's always a cool little gamble as grit to build a battlecopter. Just see if your opponent remembers to build anti-air. And yeah, Jacqueline sacking a recon here to get some much needed information. He now sees 3 artillery, and he can probably estimate that there are 2 more in the woods here, or over here. So he knows now this is where the grid death ball is. And he even gets a little shot. He gets a Rhodes boosted recon shot. This is a fairly good trade. Like, sacking a recon to get information and injure one of Grit's artillery is always a good deal. And now he can also apply pressure on this property and possibly attempt to take it. Now, I didn't mention this at the start of the match, but this is a tournament match, which means that it actually does have... It says day limit off, but I am 99.9% sure that it is a 35-day limit, because there always is during Advanced Wars by Web tournament games. So that means that, yes, you obviously don't want a match to go into day 30 against Grit, but it also means that if you somehow can secure a capture income or advantage, you can just stall out the game and try to beat him that way. If you're not able to crush him immediately, that is. So, this game cannot go on forever. It did go on for a very long time, though, as I mentioned. So, you know you're in for a big game here. So, Jack LeMan poking forward here, and he's establishing a lot of pressure on this property here in 2010. So, and I don't think there's much, there's not much Lagatua can do. I mean, he can shoot with the artillery here, but I think this property is probably going to fall. Great recon placement by Lagatua right here. Sees a lot, mostly infantry, but that still gives him a clue. Takes out the recon before moving the battlecopter. Of course, the battlecopter gets spotted anyway. And now, Lagatua is actually being a little feisty here, pushing forward. Creates a nice little wall with his infantry and moves his artillery forward. And again, this is what I was talking about. All of his power is combined in this little ball right here. And now Jack LeMan probably knows that there's not going to be a lot defending. There's actually a lone artillery right down here. And I do like this defensive artillery because it protects these two properties, which is important. Lagatua can allow himself to lose these two. So having like just one artillery on defense duty down in the south, actually I think it's a pretty cool play by Lagatua. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to leave all your properties undefended. That could be really bad for you. Now this rocket continues to move with its 4 move down to the front lines. I'm very excited to see what Jack LeMan has planned out for this thing because, oh, nice, picks up a battlecopter. Sacks an anti-air in the process though, but that's still a decent trade, I'd say. And yeah, as I said, this city right here probably never getting captured. Probably never getting captured. So Jack LeMan is actually up 2 properties. Now, of course, this is normal against Grit. In most Grit matches, you're going to see the Grit player being behind in properties, and he can still win quite easily even when behind because, again, the Grit Death Ball, his victory condition is just to survive X amount of days. But Lagatua coming in here with the infantry. And artillery shoots down the anti-air. Oh, wow, look at that. Wow. That's crazy. Lagatua actually, wait, did he just attack the tank with the... What? What's he up to, man? What's he doing? Huh? Is he trying to wall break, maybe? Oh. Oh, wait, what? What is he... What's... Okay, kills the recon. Eliminates the vision. Kills the second recon, so he's really shut off Jack LeMan's eyes right here. That is a beautiful snipe attack. And kill... Oh, barely doesn't kill the tank. That's probably a luck roll, I would imagine. Still a very ballsy move from a Lagatua right here. His opponent has a lot of power charge right now. He's actually moving forward as Grit. He's being aggressive as Grit, which is not something you see every day. I commend him, actually. That's a pretty cool attack. But considering Jack LeMan has his Trail of Woe almost ready now, this looks scary as hell, man. Is he gonna pop it or is he gonna wait? It always sucks to activate your power after your opponents because they're gonna have their 10% defense up on the turn, which it feels like it takes such a big bite out of your powers. And looks, here it is, Trail of Woo! 2 extra moves, 30% extra firepower on roads. Let's see what he can do. Oh, I love the mountain position. Now this infantry is basically a recon, giving vision. Tank goes down. Recon comes in. Ooh, barely doesn't kill the recon, but Jack LeMan has the infantry to get rid of it. Ooh, this is a scary Trail of Woe. And a second infantry in the mountains for additional defense. This rocket not doing anything. Imagine this was like a tank or a medium tank instead. Actually, you never want to build medium tanks against Grit, but imagine. Still not really doing anything. Oh, anti-air on a road. 7 HP of damage dealt. And now the rocket is in position, and I don't think Lagatua knows about it. So this is very interesting. And he takes out the anti-air as well. In comes the Battlecopter. I like this turn by Jacqueline. I think it's a phenomenal turn. Lagatua may have overextended a little bit. We will see. More recons coming out. If I was Jacqueline here, I'd feel very good about this turn personally. So I'd say he's in a very good position right now. But let's see what a Lagatua does. Boom. Boom. 2 artillery. Takes him out. Anti-air is still there. He's gonna get rid of some vision. Move the infantry into the mountain. Oh, he gets trapped. Recon comes in. Ooh, he's starting to pick him off. And he continued. All those artillery getting great value right now. And another tank, anti-air, and infantry. Alright, it's day 14. Let's see if Jacqueline can keep up the pressure. He needs... Okay, so the rocket has shot on an infantry. So now Lagatua knows that there's a rocket here, because... I mean, he definitely knows it's a rocket, because it deals more damage than artillery. So he probably... Now the rocket is revealed. It has currently dealt 7 HP of damage to an infantry. That's what it's done this turn. So, excited to see if there's going to be more coming out. Battlecopter. Ooh, nice engagements from Jacqueline right here. It's actually pretty peak. Day 15. Jacqueline is pushing, but he's not killing enough artillery, I think. Because that's the thing. Lagatua's artillery count's still pretty good here. And here comes another snipe attack. These artillery are going to rack up so much value right now. One thing I like to do to see if a grid player is doing well is to look at the ammo count on his artillery. And the lower this count is, the better grid is doing. Because if his artillery is running out of ammo, that means that they've been crazy cost effective. And yeah, all these artillery are just, they continue to rack up value. And Jacqueline, while he is successful in taking some W's here and there, I don't feel like he's doing enough to deter Lagatua's artillery death ball. It's just growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, there might be a second power coming in here. Now, let's see if the rocket gets to do anything this turn. In comes the recon for the vision. The rocket hits an artillery, or sorry, an anti-air. But there's a second anti-air in the fog, so it's not gonna give his battlecopters free reign. And I don't know, I feel this rocket may have taken Jacqueline's momentum. It may have crippled his momentum. This rocket, can you imagine if during the Trail of Woe there were two tanks here instead of this rocket? Or, I don't know, maybe saved up and maybe a Neo? This rocket has not done much at all, and it looks like Jacqueline just doesn't have enough steam left in the tank to actually push here. But let's see how the battle progresses, shall we? But yeah, Lagatua continues to leapfrog forward a little bit. And even gets a nice shot with this anti-air. Yeah, now the death ball is slowly moving forward, just edging forward. And artillery low on fuel, you don't see that every day. That artillery has been on a journey. And here's a second Trail of Woe, ladies and gentlemen. This has to be the killing blow, I think. Oh, that sucks. Just not able to kill that great infantry. And let's see if the rocket can get any good shots this turn. It hits the tank. In comes the anti-air. And it's a nice road-boosted tank. One-shots the artillery. But there are still 4 artillery in the fog. One of them is on a city and is going to get repaired up to 7 HP this turn. Day 17 rolls in for a Lagatua right here. He's not popping his superpower or power yet. Seems to be just taking some shots. In comes the anti-air. Battlecopter goes down, and now he sees the rocket. Can't do anything about it this turn, but he knows it's there, and the death ball just continues to grow, man. Yeah, this is looking pretty bad for Jacqueline, man. Look at the unit count difference, 21 to 31. Whenever you are outnumbered by Grit in the unit count, that means you're doing very poorly. That means this artillery ball is starting to take a toll, and you can see just now, just nothing left in the tank for Jacqueline right here. And this is really, like, awbw has been playing this beautifully. He has just been slowly moving forward the way Grit loves. And he even builds a transport copter because now he sees that his opponent's formation is crumbling, and so he's going to try and pick up some properties. He is still behind 3 properties. Keep this in mind. So 35 days is a lot. I mean, we're just, like, barely over halfway there. So, you know, but still, he wants to start securing some properties now. Otherwise, he's actually going to lose this. He can't just sit and do nothing. He needs to make something happen here. But awbw is now threatening these 2 properties. He's probably going to get at least this one, unless Jack Lemon is able to interrupt it somehow, which I don't think he is. But now Jack Lemon has to play defense against Grit, and that's never a position you want to be in. Defense against Grit, that is a very bad situation to be in. So awbw now actually spreading out all over the map. He's feeling very confident right now. These properties are his to capture. Just a few more captures and he's going to be ahead. And at that point, he can just sit back, relax, and enjoy himself. Now, Jack Lemon needs to move forward right here. He needs to make something happen, but he's able to interrupt the cap. But that's about what he's able to do for now. This rocket is not able to do shit. And yeah, I mean, just look at awbw's map control right now. He sees half the map. And he's confident that whatever Jack Lemon does to move forward right now, he's just going to get shot down. At this point, there is no stopping this Grit train. The T-Copter is now elevating his infantry forward. And awbw is actually so confident right now that he feels he can split up his artillery forces just fine. And he ensures that he still has anti-air added on in case of battlecopter spam, which is very nice. Day 20. Jack Lemon does not have enough for a power. Imagine if he was Adder right now, he could have popped Side Slip. But alas, Cole with the 3-star normal power, it is such a weakness. Just means that he's not going to be able to get his powers as quickly as Adder would in the same situation. It's the price he pays for having a slightly better superpower and a very mediocre day today. Another battlecopter goes down, and here comes the incredibly rare, seldom seen super snipe. Oh my lord. Oh, the units are dying. Oh, the units are dying everywhere. Oh my god. Super snipe doesn't actually give you extra firepower. It just gives you extra range. But at this point, I think this might be a flexing super snipe right here from awbw. He just felt like pushing the button, I think. But yeah, look at this. Now awbw is the one who's 2 properties ahead. And if I was Jack Lemon, yeah, I'd resign too. Really cool match, though. That was a great watch. Seeing Grit in a Fog tournament finale is not something you get to see every day. So when I saw awbw posting this game, I knew I had to cover it. Now, if you want to go check him out for yourself, link in the video description. I'm sure he's made like a 1+ hour commentary. This might be way more than 1 hour. So if you want to actually hear it from the guy himself, go check out his channel. And yeah, I'd love to see a comment from either player. I'll pin it if any of you post it. Love to hear your thoughts on the game because this was a really good one. I'm curious to hear about the rocket for Jack Lemon. I think that's what cost him the game, honestly. Curious. That's not something I would have ever done against Grit, and I was excited to see it, but I also think it cost him the game, because if he had like 1 or 2 extra tanks for that push right there when he popped his first Trail of Woe, I think that could have been really scary for awbw. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this Advanced Wars commentary. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.